right, so you're welcome once again to the show. My name is Israel and I'm here with
Enimwa Enim Ado.
Okay, so we're getting into the conversation straight away, and it has to do with the UTAG strike. The lecturers are starting a strike today, and we'll be going onto the campuses to find out if indeed the strike has begun. But before that, we'll also be speaking with the stakeholders. We'll be speaking with the UTAG executives themselves. So here's a letter on your screen, is a letter that they've shared, which we're going to be sharing with you as well.
Okay, let me just try and grab that letter because I think the... Okay, there it is. Just go through it. Dear UTAG member, withdrawal of teaching and related activities on member campuses. We write on behalf of the National Executive Committee of UTAG to inform and/or remind you of the intended strike action by UTAG. By this notice, all campuses are to redraw all teaching and related activities, namely teaching, examinations, invigilation, marking of examination scripts, processing of examination results, etc., from Monday, the 2nd of August 2021 until further notice. We encourage all members on our various campuses to comply with this directive. Thank you very much, and is signed by Professor Charles Marfo, the National President, and Dr. Eric K.K. Abavari, the National Secretary.
All right, great. So that's the letter. That's indicating that they're starting their strike. But we have been joined by Vice President of UTAG, Peter Enti. Thank you very much. He's Executive Director, rather, for the Institute for Education Studies. So thank you very much. Now, let's get on to the issues that are at play right now, which has to do with the strike by the lecturers. They are saying that they're embarking on the strike essentially has to do with money. But for them, they're not quite saying that they want more money. They're saying they want to be restored to their previous position. What are the issues at stake right now as far as you're concerned?
Right, thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. We've been following this issue since it started, and we think that the basic challenge is about some kind of misunderstanding between the UTAG and the government, and it's simply because if you look at the basic concern of UTAG, it's got to do with the position of government on how much they have been reduced. Their salaries have been reduced based on some adjustment that have been made, and we think that
Yes, Mr. Enti, please go on. All right, we seem to have some challenges with this connection, but we'll also get to speak with the UTAG themselves so that we can get to understand exactly what the issues are. As I indicated here, would also be on the campuses of the University of Ghana and KNUST and get to find out how the strike is impacting, if indeed the strike has started. Yeah. But yes, the issues, if you flesh them out, at the end of the day, it basically has to do with money.
Of course, always money.
Yeah, but in the case of UTAG, they're saying that, okay, it's not like we want more money. It's something that is due us. And
yeah.
They quote the salaries that the entry-level salaries for a lecturer, and they're saying it's woefully inadequate. And what they're asking for, it's like twice what they're currently being paid. I'm not sure how government can pull that off. Especially with, and within the constraints we find ourselves as an economy. But yeah, I'm sure there are others too who will look at what has been given to the Article 71 holders and say, okay, if it's possible with them, it should
it's
be possible.
I mean, I think really people just want to fight for what they deserve, you know what I mean? And of course, it's quite tedious, you know, being a lecturer, you know, working on campus and teaching and all of that. And you kind of just want to be paid what you're owed, or what you deserve, or what you've gone to school for. Because there's a lot of school, isn't it, to become, you know, to teach at that level. So is it reasonable? You know, it's the question. We'll find that out, won't we? Okay, and we have the executive secretary for the NLC. He's on the phone, Israel.
All right.
So hand you over to him.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Fusua Samwa. So where are we as far as the strike is concerned? I'm sure the NLC is going to say straight away that it's an illegal strike. Is it? Hello, Ms. All right, we lost Mr. Fusua Samwa, so we'll get back to him. But typically, as I was indicating, you know, the NLC is an illegal strike. But it's possible that this one may not be an illegal strike.
An illegal strike.
So
okay.
Would love to find out from you. So, Mr. Anti, I'm told we have you back on Zoom.
Yeah.
So you were putting out the issues as far as you're concerned. Yes, please, Mr. Anti. Okay.
I think there's a bit of a delay.
Or probably a challenge.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Anti.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So let's go back to the conversation. And you had started, you were making the points for us, the issues as you understand them.
Yeah, so there have been concerns raised by UTAG over some salary discrepancies that have been coming and going for some time now. And the understanding was that the government would be able to deal with that particular challenge by now. But it seems that the concerns as raised by UTAG, which has to do with a certain level of reduction in their basic salary as compared to what they used to earn before the introduction of the single spine, and when the single spine was introduced, there was some level of increment in that. So now there's that kind of discrepancy. According to UTAG, again, if you look at their statement, they indicated that the reduction occurred as early as last year, and they have been calling on government to, if they will not increase their salaries and other working conditions, they should just restore them back to what they used to earn, which is somewhere $2,084 in January 2012. But that has been the bone of contention as we speak now, and government has given them some level of assurance that would be done, but they think that it's not being carried out as government has indicated, and that they would need to go on this particular industrial, or they have to take this particular industrial action. But I need to make this point that anybody discussing working conditions of teachers at this time should use a lot of tact. Because we have to understand the dynamics of the period that we are in. We are in a period where COVID has disrupted the academic calendar. We are in a period where teachers would have to still continue to teach despite the outbreak of the pandemic. And you note that interacting with people, as it has been established by the science of the virus, is one sure way of contracting the virus. So if you have a lecturer on campus who interacts with over 100 to 200 and sometimes 300 students, and you are going on a negotiation with such a body, you have to use a lot of tact to ensure that there is a level of stability in the mind of the person who is going to deliver the education to your students, so that they will not feel aggrieved and embark on some of these things. Because at the end of the day, it is the students that are going to lose. And this particular semester is very important because this is the last semester for those who will be graduating.
Okay.
And if we are not careful, ideally, we should be having, we should be in in the beginning of the next academic calendar by this time. But students are still in their second semester, and
essentially you're making the point that
that is not good for the academic calendar.
All right.
So
essentially,
we need government to...
Essentially, you're making the point that we can't afford any more disruptions to the academic calendar as we have it now.
Exactly, and that's why I said that anybody going to negotiation with people working in the education health sector at this time should use a lot of tact, because they're already stressed. There's a lot of anxiety surrounding the work they are doing now. And if you go on negotiation with them and you do not show good faith and you do not show that you care about the sacrifices they are making, you are going to put the students into a lot of problem, and that is what we're experiencing now. I have to also make this point that it is not only UTAG that is on strike on the university campuses.
Mr. Enti, I'd want to come to that later, but I'd want to get onto the line again and speak with Dr. Samuel Nkuban, UTAG president. Thank you very much for joining us. So we want to hear from you what your issues are. Please lay them all out.
Thank you. Good morning, and good morning to your listeners. I'm president for University of Ghana. This is the UTAG president. It might sound like the national president. Let me clarify that.
Okay.
So basically, what it is that in 2018...
No, before all of that, are you actually starting the strike? Have you actually started the strike?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, that is a yes. And the reason is that from as far back as 2018, UTAG tabled for consideration the condition of service document to government through Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. And it took for nearly a year back and forth that they were studying the document. So we never had any engagements all through 2019, literally. And so it's been 3 years down the line. We started effectively engaging this document, which is in fact dated, because under normal circumstances, every 2 years, we should renegotiate our condition of service. And so since over the last 3 months, we've been having a series of meetings, and many of the times, on the government side, either they don't form a quorum or the representatives from some of the units are not in the position, or they really don't have the locus to be able to make firm commitments by way of pronouncing figures that commit government to the fact that they are serious about our concern. And so it's been back and forth like that. And finally on Friday, we had a meeting at which the Minister of Finance and the Deputy were there. And the indication is that there isn't money to be able to honor something like this. And so it looks like we've come to the end of the road.
Essentially, you're saying that government agrees that, well, they should take care of your needs, except the money is not available.
No, they have not made any such firm commitment. That is what I mean. The question is simply, where do we expect that they will get such money to pay? That is huge, and that so that is it. There is no offer made. There is no commitment made, and it's just as blanket as that. And we don't think that is good enough, and it's irritated quite a good lot of our members.
Dr. Nkuban, what exactly are you asking?
We simply are asking for a restoration of our condition of service as was the case in 2012. And the background is this, that during His Excellency Kufuor's administration, we reached a roadmap agreement that said that by the time we are in 2008, the entry point of a lecturer with a PhD in terms of basic salary would be the equivalent of $1,500.
All right.
That was achieved. And then fast forward, we were metamorphosed into the attempts to do single spine pay policy, which was supposed to be rationalizing salary scales and ensuring that at least some gaps are bridged between the top and the down. And so following that, in 2012, we got an agreement of an interim market premium. And if you were to add in 2012 the market premium, which was supposed to be 114% of basic salary, to the then $1,500 as an entry point of a lecturer, then the lecturer was valued at $2,086 per month.
All right.
So that is both market premium, the interim market premium, and basic salary. Now, from 2013, because the market premium was interim, they put a freeze to it, so it remained constant until now. On grounds that they needed to do a market labor survey, that gives us a sense of where truly we should be placed on the spine, as well as who is deserving of market premium and who is not deserving of market premium. Because of that freeze, as we speak, the market premium component, which was supposed to be 114% of basic salary we were enjoying in 2012, is now 54%. And also by virtue of the fact that the CD dollar depreciation thing, the value of what we earn now in terms of CD equivalent is dropped. And so if you were to add the market premium component and the basic salary component as what we receive in CD terms, it sums up to just around $997, which means that we've lost over $1,086. So the implication is that what we have lost is even greater than what is given to us to try and live life with.
Yeah.
And in that case, it doesn't make meaningful life for us, and that is where we are. So we simply are asking government, under the current circumstances, kindly restore us back to the 2012 levels where we were getting 114% of basic salary and an entry point of $1,500 for a lecturer with PhD.
Okay.
And then we'll pick it from there. So we are not asking for any increment. We are not asking for something outside of what we were already enjoying.
All right.
And so by labor, we don't think that it is okay to make somebody worse off, and by as much as $1,086. If we were to be restored to that level, I don't think anybody would have any reason to continue to be on strike or to withdraw some of these services that we render to our country.
All right. Dr. Nkuban, please hold on for me. I have on the line Ofuso Samwa, who's the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. Thank you very much, Mr. Ofuso Samwa. So these are the issues that UTAG has raised. What has been the intervention of the NLC all this while?
Well, I listened to Doctor, and I've been following what's going on in the discussion, negotiations, and so on. The truth of the matter is, they appeared before the commission some time ago, and in the course of the deliberations, the parties decided to go and continue with negotiations. And like you said, there have been several meetings between themselves, the Ministry of Education and the Labor Relations as well, represented by the various PWG, PVC, and all that. And until last week, negotiations were still going on, and we were getting the assurance that things were moving and that they are likely to settle on something. Unfortunately, we got the information late Thursday, confirmed on Friday, that they could not get to a satisfactory position acceptable to the two of them. So since they were before the commission, ordinarily one would expect that if you are unable to settle, you come back to the commission. Since that was the assurance that was given to us before we left. But in the matters that went on, they had earlier on written to us that if they were unable to settle by the 31st of July, on the 2nd of August, they will embark on a strike, a nationwide strike.
So essentially they had notified you? They had notified the commission?
Oh, yes, they sent the notice. But you see, the notice was, we are still negotiating. But if we are unable, if we are, the notice properly should come when after you are unable. Because while negotiations are going on, if you issue such notice, it is more or less a threat. If you don't do this for me during negotiations, I will go on strike. You see how it works. So anyway, we received their notice, and around that time we wrote to the ministry to find out how they were working to avert the strike. We didn't get to that point. So when we got the notice that the strike is imminent, I've had discussion with members of the commission. Because it was over the weekend, we did that on foot. And this morning, we are going to do something about it.
Okay, when you say you're going to do something about what exactly?
You know, the commission is established to resolve labor disputes.
Yeah.
And promote good labor relations. So that is just what we are going to do.
But you're not going to declare their strike illegal?
Oh, no, that is for the commission to determine. If it is illegal, it will be declared. If it is legitimate, why not? But the most important thing is we always urge parties to negotiate in good faith. And when it comes to work, the commission goes into the other part, that is the dispute resolution, by settling the matter in some form of file. So, yes.
So from my understanding, the commission is going to meet today to determine the way forward. Is that it?
There's going to be an informal thing. But to determine when to invite them.
All right.
And the issues to be settled. So by close of this, all the parties will hear from them.
All right.
By close of this thing.
All right.
JoyNews will also hear from them.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Fosu.
Thank you for partnering us in the dispute.
All right. So let's go to Peter Anti. So you've heard from the National Labour Commission. They're not going to rush to declare the strike an illegal strike as yet. The commission is going to meet and they're going to decide how they're going to go about it. It appears at this point we're not seeing any immediate resolution to the issue. Ms. Anti. Ms. Anti, you'd have to unmute for us.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, so
I'm sure you heard the National Labour Commission Executive Secretary.
Yes. I was saying that I like the position of the NLC this time around. We didn't want a situation whereby we're going to see that kind of antagonism and all that back and forth with UTAG. So it is important that they are NLC is saying that they are not going to declare this as an illegal strike, and then they would then proceed. They would have then proceeded to the courts and then force them to go back to the classroom. I think that they should go through the path that they want to use, do that kind of informal meeting, and then and try to reason with the leadership of UTAG so that they will be able to reach a compromise. My position is that you should be able to handle this tactfully, because if you are not careful and everybody decides to take an entrenched position, what is going to happen is that the students are going to suffer, because we have students that need to graduate for others to be admitted. And already we have a distorted academic calendar. So any kind of action that would lead to an entrenched position should not be encouraged by anybody. We should try and appreciate the position of UTAG and find ways and means to talk them out of the strike, so that when they get to the negotiation tables again, the rightful thing would be done.
Okay. We still have Dr. Samuel Nkuban, who's the UTAG president, University of Ghana, still on the line. Dr. Nkuban, you've heard from the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission.
Yeah.
I'm sure you like the tone. He's not saying that your strike is illegal. That should be heartwarming.
Also because we duly notified them, and then
even though
July, we did send them a reminder.
Yeah, even though he was saying, Dr. Nkuban, he's saying that what you issued, which was supposed to be the notification, sounded more like a threat, because you're saying we are in negotiations, and if things don't go well, we're embarking on a strike. He was hoping that you finish the negotiations and then communicates that we finished the negotiations and this is the position we're taking.
Yes, so the indication is that it's because, like I indicated from the beginning, from 2018 until now, the back and forth had just become unreasonably overburdening. And you know, our membership cut across all the country. We have people having to travel all the way to Takwa to attend meetings only for government side not to form a quorum, and then we have to go back. And they call you for another meeting. They send somebody who doesn't have the locus to be able to make firm commitments. And we go back without reaching any results. And it's been back and forth for as long as that. And many of the times we have notified our these bodies that this is the state of affairs. And in June, we served notice that if by close of July we were not getting any firm commitment, then it meant that we had come to the end of the road.
All right. Now, you talk about the figure that you agreed, which was $1,500 for the entry level, plus the market premium, 114%. And you're looking at $2,098, I believe. Would you insist on the dollar weighting? Because that could present a challenge. We're in Ghana, and where our currency is the cedi. Would you insist that you use that $2,000 weighting?
So the point is that the agreement is this is in dollars payable in cedi equivalent. And so it's as simple as doing the mathematics of what the cedi equivalent is and say that this is the figure in cedi.
So I was actually thinking it was for a specific period. So at the time that they agreed that it was 1,500, it was for that specific period, and they shouldn't run until now.
The point is that it had to be getting the usual annual increment after 2008. So the roadmap was that by the time we are in 2008, the entry point will be cedi equivalent of the $1,500.
All right.
And so if in 2009 we got an average basic salary increase of 10%, then it will no longer be the 1,500. The 10% will affect that.
But you were actually hoping for 10% or an increment on the dollar.
Second.
Were you actually anticipating a 10% increment on the dollar?
I mean, all the annual increments would be on the dollar. And so the exposition, when we did that actuarial analysis, assuming that that was the case, and 13 years down the line, then you are talking about a depreciation of over 130%, which meant that from 2008 until 2021, the entry point of a lecturer should have been somewhere a little over $3,000 to the equivalent.
All right.
But of course, that is not what we are asking for. What we are asking for is that what it was in 2012 just restores back to that point, and then we can begin a conversation as to
the increases. All right. You still please continue to hold on for us. Yeah. We're going on to the university campuses. We're starting with the KNUST, where Nane Aljima is standing by. Hello, Nane Aljima. What's the situation there on the campus? Lecturers are saying that they are withdrawing their services. How is this impacting, or is it showing yet? All right, we have lost Nane Aljima.